Okay. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. I think LIBF is definitely it's super nice to see how warm everyone's been, and it's great to be here. So really quick, we've started Aeos Labs roughly 2 years ago. We've been working very closely with enterprises, not just enterprises, but also marketing teams across the country. We started out with a few products, and we very quickly realized that products are probably not the way to go. And the decision we took, I think now looking back, was quite a smart one. When you look at companies like OpenAI and Google, they're pouring billions of dollars in making their current products more general purpose and more easy to use for everyone. I think with Ansh's talk, most of you have already used ChatGPT. I'm pretty sure some of you have already used Gemini. The thing is, every single update that these LLMs and these chatbots get, they make it easier, more general purpose, and that much more powerful for the everyday average person to use. I think Ansh also summed it up very well that all you really need to kind of leverage these tools is a good way of articulating your ideas and putting it down on paper, right? So very early on, we were like, instead of building and competing in that race, let us actually just talk to businesses and solve problems on the ground. And there's a joke in the startup world. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but the joke is every time OpenAI drops an update, it kills 50 startups, right? And that's true because a lot of these companies, these startups, they go after one niche problem statement, and then OpenAI drops an update, and that problem statement is solved, right? So yeah, we're Aeos Labs. This is me and my two co-founders. We've worked with enterprises across the country and also recently abroad. We've solved problems for Zerodha. We're Google execution partners. We've done a bunch of work with Prime Video. We've done hardcore R&D for marketing companies like Ogilvy. And we've built a bunch of automation and even some products for the rest of them, right? And this is a slightly outdated deck. I think our portfolio has grown since then. So I'm going to cover a few topics. I think in an ideal world, I would have had a little more time, and I'd love to show you like actual working demos. But I'm going to cover a few topics, right? And I think the first thing is distribution, right? So this slide says distribution will always be a moat. What do I mean by that? I genuinely think in 2025, the two advantages that someone will get in an AI-first world will not be execution anymore. It still is execution, and to maybe the next few decades, it still will be execution, but I think that is reducing, right? The importance of a good executor might reduce, and that's directly related to how much more powerful these AI systems are becoming. The two advantages that I think companies will be able to leverage going forward is, number one, access to proprietary data. A lot of you guys are seasoned entrepreneurs. You have companies that have lasted for decades. You have a tremendous amount of data that only you have access to, right? So proprietary data is a huge advantage that legacy companies, old companies should be taking advantage of. And number two is distribution, right? The advantage number two that you can make as a business is distribution. And that's basically access to customers and access to content, right? So we're not a very old company, so we don't have a large network to really leverage. We double down on the content aspect of it, right? And I'll show you what that looks like. So these are two videos. This is my co-founder, Varun. Varun is definitely the face of the company. He's done a tremendous job kind of speaking to business leaders and tech leaders across the world. Just last week, he finished a podcast with Sam Altman. Varun's content journey has been interesting, right? It's not your traditional content journey. It's not him putting hours and hours into creating high quality content. It has been him creating an AI avatar of himself and kind of pushing out videos like this. I'm going to play these for you, and honestly, I kind of struggled to kind of realize that these were AI videos. Oops.
SpaceX just set a new company record, their longest crewed mission ever, 236 days in space. But getting those astronauts back to Earth required some mind-blowing engineering. When you're returning from space, you're basically a human meteor. You're hitting the atmosphere at around 17,000 miles per hour. That's about 25 times the speed of sound. This creates so much heat that the spacecraft's heat shield has to handle temperatures over 3000 degrees Fahrenheit during re-entry. But here's where it gets really interesting. Slowing down from that speed is like
Okay, can
trying
you
to
pause,
stop
play
a
the
bullet
next
with a
video?
parachute. Actually, that's exactly what they do. At 18,000 is giving developers a whopping $1 million to build free open source projects. They're calling it the FLOSS Fund. But here is why this is such a big deal. You see,
Okay, my larger point is that both of those were AI avatars. There was no human recording over there. We created an AI avatar once. And all Varun's team needed to do was input a script, which is also automated now using ChatGPT and Claude, and that video was kind of output, right? The editing work is still there, but that's another problem statement that we're actively solving. Now, instantly, what you guys might be thinking of is there's no way an audience would really take to AI-generated content, right? And I think the evidence, we've seen the evidence to the contrary. Ever since we started putting out AI content, in the start, a lot of people were calling it out in the comments, saying, okay, hey, this is definitely an AI avatar. This is never going to work. This is lazy content. But Varun kind of stuck to it, right? Like, we kind of stuck to that entire process. And now if you look at it, very consistently, we're hitting millions of views on AI avatars, right? So as a strategy, it's not the worst. In fact, it makes everything that much more efficient. We run a sister company called YouTube as a Service. It's called Yas Studio. And we basically run about 60 different channels, right? We do a lot of work for Zerodha. Our entire short form content strategy is using AI avatars, right? And we've operationalized it to a point where everything is that much more quick. We're able to push out videos. In fact, one thing Varun keeps bragging about online on social media is after the recent Apple event, we were able to put out a video in 15 minutes, right after the event got over. So this is distribution. This is a quick way, this is like, I'm trying to visualize how, I'm trying to show you guys how we can potentially automate content. And this is actually a tool very early on that we built. And we're actually working on a more advanced version of this, where you have a visual repository of different visuals. And this is an example of Steph Curry, for those of you who are aware of the basketball world. We have a visual repository of videos and images of Steph Curry. There's an article or a script that is input of Steph Curry. And then there's cloned voices, which again, we're using 11 Labs for. All of those can be kind of combined in a certain sequence. There's an entire sequence engine. And a standard workflow for creating a short form video probably takes 15 to 20 man hours and multiple people, right? You need a script editor, you need a script writer, you need someone to come and shoot the video. You need to collect all the like B-roll footage. And then you need an editor to kind of put everything together. But with a semi-automated workflow, which is something we're doing, honestly, it takes even less than 1-2 hours right now, given where AI is. Right? So this is something we're doing at scale. We've proved it multiple times. I think there's 50 different channels within our own network that is leveraging this, right? And within our network, within our social media network, we're doing about 500 million views every single month, right? And a lot of that is driven by our short form content. Okay, category number 2 is personalization. I think everyone here kind of agrees that personalization is the way to go. It's as simple as when you're receiving an email, you're far more likely to open it if it says your name in the subject. If it says your name, it's instead of saying hi Harsha, if something just said hi user, it's not as nice. Customer delight is low. Everyone, I think, agrees that personalization is the name of the game, right? Personalization in the AI world in 2025 and 2024, for example, has been taken to a different level. Now we're calling it hyper-personalization. Now it's not just a name that you can add to an email, for example. You can actually put people's faces into music videos. You can put their faces into movie trailers. And I'll show you what that looks like, right? So these are the 3 types of personalization that we've worked with. We've done face swapping. Like I said, you can put your face into a music video or into a trailer. You can clone people's voices. You can, and also with cloning people's voices, you could potentially get someone like Shah Rukh Khan to say your name. I don't know. How many of you guys saw that Cadbury ad of Shah Rukh Khan where he called out a bunch of, okay, quite a few people. Interesting. Yeah. So Shah Rukh Khan did this ad with Cadbury a few years ago where any business owner could come, input their business name, and Shah Rukh Khan would basically make an ad for them, right? And that's something you can do with voice cloning, and you can also do a bunch of interactive messaging. Suddenly you can run full-blown marketing campaigns directly on WhatsApp and kind of customize and curate that user experience. And I'll show you something, right? So we did this exactly with Mirzapur, with Prime Video. Is the image not loading? Okay. I think the image isn't loading. Interesting. So we work with Prime Video. We worked with Prime Video on Mirzapur season 3. So season 3 launched in July, and what we ended up doing.
क्या करना है इसका?
फैसला हम नहीं, मैं खास लेंगे.
तो क्या चुनोगे?
Just click on the video.
बल चुन के.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I mean, I created this presentation in Figma. I think when porting it to what PPT, it kind of messed it up. But we worked on Prime Video's campaign, right, for Mirzapur season 3. It was this entire launch campaign that was entirely hosted on WhatsApp. You started with, how many of you have seen Mirzapur, the show? Wow, okay, that's like the entire audience. Yeah, so Mirzapur season 3, when it launched, you basically had a UP-style gangster texting you on WhatsApp, asking you what's your name, whether you're part of the gang, and you had characters from the Mirzapur universe say your name. You would upload your face, and you would get your face in a video. And the entire thing was interactive. There was an image over there that you would have been able to see. But after you send a selfie, you basically get a video asking you what to do with a hostage. Then within WhatsApp, you get a question: do you want to use your buddhi or do you want to use your bal? And depending on your answer, you get 2 videos, which I'm going to show you in the next slide. Can you play the first video?
मैं इलाके में घुस के मी पे होशियारी पलोगे नहीं ना.
क्या करना है इसका? फैसला सोच समझ के लीजिएगा.
फैसला हम नहीं, मैं खास लेंगे.
Okay, you can pause.
दुश्मन को
Click on the video.
में
Click on the
करना.
video. Okay. So anyway, that was my face. That was my face put into the video. And depending on what I select on WhatsApp, whether it's Bal or Buddhi, one of those other 2 videos plays, right? One of them is me being nice to the hostage and kind of showing him how to be part of our team, and the other one's actually me beating him up, right? And it's my face. The entire thing is hosted on WhatsApp. There are also other ways of using it, right? Where you combine 2 different technologies. This is an example with Sanjeev Kapoor, where you have both face and voice personalization, right? So the second video, if you play, I'll show you what that means. Just click on the second video. You don't need to click on the first.
थैंक्स केबाब्स एंड करीज. लाखों बिरयानी लवर्स को दावत बिरयानी का फाइनेस्ट एक्सपीरियंस सर्व करने के लिए ऐसे ही बिरयानी की दावत बनाए और बनाए.
Second video? Yeah.
इस दावत वर्ल्ड बिरयानी डे अगर कोई ऐसी बिरयानी बना दे तो मैं उसका असिस्टेंट ही बन जाऊं.
So that's the user's face and her name. One sec.
राधिका जी शुरू करें.
Yeah. So, yeah, pause. Okay, fine. So we're not able to pause the video. I don't know why. But here's the thing. What you can do with this. So the first video, the kebabs and curries, was basically a B2B play where Dawat Rice basically sent out these personalized thank you messages to their entire partner base, right? Like all their restaurant partners, their hotel partners, resort partners, right? And the second thing was a consumer campaign, which their everyday consumers, customers were able to experience. This is a very simple workflow, but I think you guys get the message, right? So this is a way to, instead of it being a standalone campaign, you can actually integrate this same technology into your customer journeys, right? So where a user visits a website, they're viewing an insurance policy as an example, submits an inquiry form with name, city, contact info. It inputs those pieces of information into a dynamic script, and then a personalized video is generated, right, and sent via email. This can be combined into any workflow that you guys, user journey that you guys currently have. And we've taken it a step further. It's not just face and name that you can insert. We've also been able to create customized graphics. And I'll show you what that looks like. You guys play?
Your overall PMS portfolio overview, summary of strategies you have invested in, and our recommendation for you. You've invested a total of 70 lakh in our PMS, which has grown to 1.1 crore, which is an absolute return of 57%. Let's go deeper into the equity portion of your portfolio. Of the 70 lakh invested in our PMS,
So all these
the 70
graphics are
lakh
completely
is being invested in
dynamic.
Flash.
Everything is completely dynamic. All we had to do was take the data of a particular user, get their investment portfolio, and all these graphs and visuals are automatically generated. Something like this combined with like a face personalization and name personalization becomes a very powerful customer tool, right? Okay, so voice bots, again, I think I'm running out of time. But I will quickly run you through what we've done with voice bots, right? So the cool thing about voice bots, I know there's always that personal touch that you guys need, but I think with the state of voice bots today, it's kind of amazing at what they can do. And there are use cases where I think automation and actually having someone like an intelligent bot over there instead of a human makes all the difference, right? So this is something, again, I don't know why the images aren't showing up, but I'll show you this video. So we worked with the Bangalore police, and this came out of a requirement where there was this lady from Manipur who had visited Bangalore, and she had called the police command center. She called 112, and when the call reached the command center, nobody in that command center could speak Manipuri, and she's basically been missing ever since. And that's when the Bangalore police realized, okay, hey, they asked themselves the question, is there a way to use AI to kind of solve this problem? And we sat down with Bangalore police. We've been going to their command center for like months on end. And we thought of creating a translation layer sitting between a caller and the human operator. And I'll play a video for you to just kind of like highlight what that looks like. Can you guys play this? So this is not in production yet, guys. It's still a prototype. We're waiting for
In an
Bangalore police to
emergency,
give the
every second
go-ahead.
matters. But for many, getting help isn't just about dialing 112. It's about being understood. Bengaluru is home to people from across India and the world speaking different languages. But when distress calls come in, traditional emergency response systems rely on local operators. If the caller doesn't speak the same language, valuable time is lost. To solve this, the Bengaluru City Police, in collaboration with Monday Ventures and Aeos, has introduced an AI-powered multilingual emergency response support system to the existing 112. This AI doesn't just translate, it understands. It instantly detects and switches to the caller's language, whether it's Marathi, Punjabi, Bengali, Telugu, or Spanish, without any manual input. It adapts based on the situation, whether it's a missing person, a medical emergency, or a security threat, ensuring that the right response reaches faster. It can track location, recognize caller gender, and coordinate directly with police, ambulances, or fire services, minimizing delays and errors. And when needed, human operators can take full control, ensuring efficiency with oversight. Let's see the system in action.
Hello? Bengaluru Police Emergency Services. How can we help?
हेल्प पाहिजे मला आता.
कृपया घाबरू नका. तुमची अडचण काय आहे आणि तुमचे नाव लोकेशन सांगा म्हणजे आम्ही लगेच मदत पोहोचवू शकू.
हो, माझं नाव आहे राहुल आणि मी फिनिक्स मॉल ऑफ एशियाच्या मेन गेटवर आहे. माझा ॲक्सिडेंट झाला आता. माझ्या पायावर ऑटो गेली होती आणि आता ड्रायव्हर मला राग देतोय. आता लगेच हेल्प पाहिजे मला.
राहुल, कृपया काळजी करू नका. आम्ही ताबडतोब मदत पाठवत आहोत. फिनिक्स मॉल ऑफ एशियाच्या मुख्य गेटवर आपल्याला मदतीसाठी कोणालाही बोलवता येईल का? आणि आपल्याला काही दुखापत झाली आहे का?
नाही.
ठीक आहे. आम्ही लगेच मदत पाठवत आहोत. कृपया तिथेच थांबा
Okay, so
आणि
in the interest of
सुरक्षित
time,
राहा.
I think you guys got the
काही
point.
लोकांना आपल्या
But what we were able to do with this technology was we were able to capture user requirements. We were able to automatically detect language, and we were able to like give actual operators a quick way of dispatching help almost immediately. And it was crazy because we actually saw the command center how it was currently done, and it was extremely inefficient, right? If you guys saw that, you would actually feel scared because we called in Hindi once and we were speaking in Hindi and we were like, hey, we're hurt and in MG Road, and the lady on the other end was just like, I'm sorry, I don't speak Hindi, only Kannada, right? And it was the scariest thing ever. So it's not very efficient, and something like this could actually save lives. And while it's not yet in production, the prototype has been approved by the Bangalore police, and we do have plans to kind of maybe push it out to the other cities in India. Thank you. So AI agents, I think everyone's kind of touched upon this. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but AI agents are kind of the next step of intelligent. It's actually where intelligence, it's actually where you move from just delivering information to actually taking action on your behalf, right? And we're building out a thing we're calling Community GPT, where it's both an HR manager and a community manager at the same time. I have a background building community platforms. So one of the things we learned when it came to building community platforms is you can throw all the technology at it, you can throw all the infrastructure at a community, unless you had someone to kind of take ownership of creating events and help coordinate stuff, the community would basically fail. Right? So we were like, what if we could use an AI to kind of facilitate community engagement, right? So we built 4 agents that now sit on a chatbot, and we've also connected this to your Slack, your WhatsApp, your whatever, so you can actually text the community agent, right? So the 4 agents are People Search, Senate, and Events and Knowledge. People Search is finding people with similar interests. Senate is where you raise and vote on common issues. I think Senate was the more powerful one in my head, where you might, if you had a problem with a neighbor or you had a problem with a coworker, you might not escalate it immediately, but you would tell a best friend, right? And because you know the best friend would be anonymous, you know they might not escalate it immediately. There's a lot of behind the scenes features that we've kind of incorporated into Senate where it doesn't immediately escalate, but kind of gets a sense of, does everyone else have the same problem? And then only it goes to senior management, right? So we built 4 agents, and everything is dynamic. Just based on normal, regular conversation with the bot, you're able to get things like you're able to find people with similar interests. It asks you, do you want to create a reading club event? There's a bunch of things. I would have loved to show you a live demo. I just don't think we have the time for it. Okay, the last thing I want to leave you with is working with enterprises, working with businesses. What we have noticed, and I think there's a lot of statistics on this as well, roughly, depending on the report you read, everyone says between 70 to 85% of all AI initiatives fail at enterprises, right? And there's a number of reasons why, but I think the most important, how many of you have attempted to incorporate AI in your companies today? Okay, quite a few of you. Like, how successful have they been? Like, do you think they were a wild success? Okay, we have 2 people. Okay, we have 2 people who were like, it was a wild success. Most of these fail, right? And I'm going to be honest, most of our work has also reached the prototype stage, and we're waiting for the go-ahead to go full production. And there's always some challenges that arise. One of the things that I've seen, the primary reason, is that when it comes to AI transformation projects and most digital transformation projects, I think it's 30% the new tech. It is 30% that shiny new tool, that shiny new model that's come out, and about 70% about people, right? And this is something I feel like a lot of people lose because they don't realize that the people who are expected to use this new technology, it's sometimes their jobs on the line. It is sometimes you're asking them to adapt some new technology. So while 30% is the actual implementation and the actual tool that you are building for your organization, 70% is actually people management and change management, which for the most part, I don't think happens very effectively, right? And there are a few things that you could potentially do as business owners to kind of make sure that transition and that adoption happens faster. Right? So as a business leader here, 3 things you can start doing today to get AI ready. Number 1 is identifying quick wins with measurable benefits, right? While as an organization, if you have been around for a while, you're probably doing something in the same way for 20, 30 years. It's going to be hard. You have high inertia, right? So identifying quick wins with measurable benefits. I think measurable benefits is actually the important part, where you are able to effect some change within your organization and you're able to see what numbers those move, right? Is it an efficiency improvement? Is it a reduction in headcount? Has it opened up a new revenue stream, right? Things like that, extremely important. So starting out small is a huge, can make a huge difference in your larger journey. Make sure data is always top of mind. What this means is, I know a lot of people have taken up infrastructure projects where you are collecting data and you're trying to digitize. Keeping that in mind is I think, going to be more important today than it was ever before in history, because a lot of the intelligent systems that you're going to be able to leverage in the future is going to be built upon the data you start collecting now, right? So making sure data is always top of mind is another huge point you should take into account, right? And what I've written here is what goes into an AI model is what comes out, right? So the higher quality data and the more structured and accessible you make it, the better. Number 3 is build AI talent and drive employee adoption early, right? It's about giving baby steps to your company, teaching them how to use tools, hiring people like Ansh, for example, to come in and kind of show you the ropes. Just getting people comfortable with AI and not making it like some big scary thing. And I think the final point is be problem first, not AI first. A lot of people come into this thinking AI is going to solve everything for me. It's this crazy new technology. People lose sight. I think this is a very important product management thing to keep in mind is that you need to find a solution to your problem and not a problem for your solution, right? AI, a lot of people look at AI and they're just like, okay, this is going to make my company X times more efficient. It's going to reduce my headcount. That's usually not the case. Like we've seen 80% of all AI initiatives do fail. And a lot of that is because people do not have an identified problem that they actually want to solve. And they assume AI is this big magic wand, right? So as a technology, AI does promise to revolutionize the way we work and how we do business, but it's still far from being a magic wand. So identify those small niche use cases and then attempt to solve them. Yeah. Again, I don't know why the images haven't shown up, but we'd love to work with you if anyone has some ideas or things they want to talk or discuss about. That's my email ID and that's our website, www.aeos.tech. Thank you.